Okay, everyone. So this is Creators Only, and today we're going to be talking about monetization from creators, monetization from your social media, and we have some very amazing, talented speakers today, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Wow. All right, go first. I was hoping to get some framework. All right. My name is John Pittman. Started a hospitality-focused media network that started off from TikTok skits going viral. Started an online community. From there, I had a chance to see a little bit about the audience coming in. Noticed it was 5 to 7 year veterans. And I noticed that a lot of bartenders were ex-creatives and athletes. So I created a competition series of bartender speed. And from there, through the marketing platform, I started taking that science and started working with small businesses. So this is me kind of doing some outreach to kind of showcase the hospitality community, how we can start working with other people in the community.
Hi y'all, my name is Brianna Flemings. I'm the founder of Gem Social. It's a platform for creatives to find gig opportunities. So if you're a DJ, photographer, videographer, or influencer, it's a platform where not only can you collaborate with each other, but you can find opportunities. We have 15,000 people on the platform. We've had over $300,000 worth of gigs on there. So, the reason I started is because I'm a DJ and I knew how hard it was to find opportunities. So that's my background and happy to be here.
What's up, guys? My name is Leo. I have a credit repair company and also a construction company, so we do like federal and commercial contracts. And I'm mainly on social media. I monetize TikTok. So monetize TikTok, get about 1,000 consultations a month organically through TikTok.
He's very famous. He's very humble.
It's a grind.
Is he really? Yeah, like
So with that being said, when it comes to social media, right? So how do you utilize your social media to bring in those like leads, those peoples, and like bring in that community?
I think there's a very high failure rate in the hospitality industry when it comes to restaurants and bars. And so a lot of times when they see me throwing successful events, I get a lot of outreach. People want to collaborate. And from there, I get a chance to go in there and then bring additional pieces that can help them monetize and get them jump started and kind of teach them how to feed themselves too.
I would say for me, it's just like creating community in a world where it's so inauthentic nowadays. Like if you're creating community and you're telling your story and people relate to you, they're going to trust you. I'm big on building trust. You're not going to just trust somebody off the street nowadays either. It's the same thing online. I don't be playing that. So for me, it's just like storytelling, creating community, showing the benefits of the platform is what brings in for us is downloads, but leads for other people as well. So that's a good way to really bring in some awareness, I would call it.
So for me, it's just two things. I just post content once a day, and then I go live on TikTok once a day for about an hour. And so the reason why I do that is bridging the gap of trust, especially for me, like doing credit repair. From my perspective is if I'm doing an ad, right, a Facebook ad, and you have no idea who I am, you're getting to know me for 30 seconds, and then I'm asking you, hey, give me your license, give me your social security. Like, it's very hard to trust someone in 30 seconds, right, let alone a year. So that's how I'm like utilizing the platform is posting content once a day to grab people's attention. They can see the information. But then when I go live, it closes the gap of trust even more because now people can ask me questions live. They can see my personality, how much or how little of information that I know, and then they can make the judgment to take the next step to schedule the consultation. So that's all I literally do, just post content once a day to grab people's attention, build trust by going live. People can ask me questions, they can watch me go live, for a whole week or a whole month. Sometimes I have people watch me go live for a whole year before they make a decision to move forward with my program. So that's it in a nutshell.
So like how important is it that like how do you go from value to actually entertaining the audience? Because you're talking about credit repair. Like so, like what is your framework for doing that?
So we call it edutainment. So for me, that's my twist is edutainment, education, entertainment. So what I do is I do a lot of basically research. I watch other people that are in my same niche, and I call it the trend is your friend, but stay in your own lane. So you want to see what everyone else is doing, and if everyone's doing the same thing, you're just going to be white noise if you copy someone else. So you want to figure out what everyone is doing, and then you just kind of pivot and make your own lane. It's kind of like in Houston, because I just moved here a couple years ago, but you have your HOV lane, and you have, and then you have an express lane, right? You got the express lane where you can beat all the traffic going to downtown. And so literally, you're seeing the trend, you know where everyone's going, and then you just create your own lane, that express lane, and you can get straight to the front a lot faster. So you want to follow that trend, but then also add your own twist, your own personality to it. Because that's the thing, is like everyone is their own individual person, right? So any industry, even water industry, is very competitive. So how do you become unique is you as an individual, we all have our own stories. We all have our own uniqueness. We all have our own personalities. And so when you create content, you're going to attract people who are just like you, who like you for being you, and you're going to create your own community that way.
And that is so true. I feel like you've created your own lane with like your content. Like it's very entertaining, but you hit a specific niche. So can you kind of talk about that?
And I realized that they are more likely having these sales conversions online. And I did some B2B sales work with a fintech media company out there in Miami. And I realized that our events was just cleaning up. Like we'd host an event and then we get like a $250,000 investment, or we host an event and now we have 5 different sales conversions. So I'm like, we need to be doing more of this right here. So with that, I started using social media as almost like a TV network. So now I was like, let me just post skits, million views, 200,000 views. And then from there, you have your long form where the people who want to go down the funnel, they'll go down there, get a chance to, I guess, establish that brand trust. And then eventually, I'm not asking for anything. Come to this event, then I'll get some brand sponsors to take care of a free drink or something like that. So that way, now it's a no refusal offer. They pull up, and then you get a chance to like do hand-to-hand combat. So I mean, it does require having some charm as a personality at the base layer, but I feel like by doing that, I can also provide value, because in that event, I can help fuel lateral relationships. And if somebody can come into an ecosystem and get lateral relationships, at that point, it's like they'll pay anything for that type of access.
True. Now I do have a question for Bree, right? You're building your like personal brand, and like that's one of the things that drew me to Gym Social. Can you kind of talk about like your strategy for building your own personal brand?
I don't really have a strategy, y'all. I'm really just,
Feel that.
I really am just being myself, and that is the strategy.
Right.
Because I feel like a lot of tech founders are already behind the screen. They're not really showing face until they raise like $15 million, and I'm showing people how I'm raising $1 million right now. So because only 0.7% of Black women get funding in the first place. So I'm already in a space where, okay, I got funding. I've raised $500,000 in the last 4 months. And how can I show other people what I'm doing, and then also show them why they should trust the brand, which is a platform that still gets you paid. So it's like, what are you losing from downloading the platform at best, and then learning how a Black woman is raising money? So my strategy is just telling my story, like I said before, because I feel like if I wake up and I try to strategize this, it's like, so it feels inauthentic. So I just do me, really. Then that's how I've been able to grow the platform. That's how I've been able to attract investors. We recently got an investor from Xbox, and it's all the same thing because they just trust me. They invest in founders, not even ideas anymore. So for me, it's just being myself, and luckily I'm the shit already. So it's like, you know.
Love that. So as you can see, like everyone's saying the same thing: be authentic, find your own lane. And I feel like when it comes to social media, we all feel like there's this magic thing that we have to do, but it seems like the secret sauce is literally being authentic and being yourself. So if anybody can give me some secret sauce, what would you say besides being authentic is your secret sauce?
Let's see here, secret sauce. I feel like me and you always exchange secret sauce all the time.
That's all I'm asking.
I mean, honestly, I think this right here is the new future of hospitality. These multi-use spaces, creative spaces right here. Because right now, bars is like they're only selling alcohol, and then every time they need to make more, they just raise the price of alcohol. But then people are also getting sober. So it's like, what are they going to do? They're going to have to offer additional experiences. So I think adding media components to it, adding, the co-working spaces, they would be killing it if they could sell alcohol. So I know a lot of bars, if they started selling alcohol, they could do a lot more on the creative space side. So if I'm you guys, if you start reaching out to bars about throwing events and stuff like that, they would do it for free.
I absolutely agree. Like, I had an event, I'm not from Texas, and I had an event during Afro Tech just because the same thing that I've reached online, like I wanted to bring that in person. Like, how can we make more money and get more investments and et cetera, et cetera. So I would say definitely create a community. It doesn't have to be in person all the time, but I will say that you're going to have more value by having stuff like this in person, or having events, or go to a coffee shop and say, hey, can I have an event here? What are they going to do? Say no to money? Like, they're not going to say no. So I would say start small, build a community around what you're trying to solve too. Like a lot of days I see people aren't even saying what they're trying to solve. They're just like, yeah, I have this business, but what is the business trying to solve? And then build community around that. My business, my brand is trying to solve Black women getting funding. That's my personal brand. Then my actual platform is creators getting funding, opportunities in healthcare. So they're already coming just to talk to me. And then when they're also creatives, great, I'm already in front of my audience. I haven't ran a Facebook ad ever, maybe just to try it out, just to learn what it was. But overall, like my advertisement is being myself, creating community, having events, and solving a real problem in the economy.
I mean, this is talking about creating content, basically, right? Monetizing your content. So I think for a lot of people, because I help people too with creating content for their platforms, they're always so nervous about making content, right? Like, this isn't good enough, I'm not doing it like this. But at the end of the day, what I follow is a bad job done is better than a perfect plan never executed. So if you're always trying to be perfect, you're never going to execute it. You're going to overthink it, have analysis paralysis, and then you feel like a failure. But the reality is you just have to put yourself out there. And if you're just starting out, well, guess what? The only people watching you are your family and your friends. So if you do a bad job, it's your family and friends that are seeing it. And you can always delete that content. If you didn't like it, you can always delete it. So there's really no fear. It's just like Apple, right? When Apple comes out with its, the 16, the first version is always going to have problems. But guess what? They sell it anyways, and then they get feedback from people who purchase it, and then they make the modifications to make it better. So a bad job done is always better than a perfect job never executed.
Okay. So I do have a question for you. So what would you say your main platform is?
TikTok.
TikTok?
So I get 100% of my leads organically through TikTok.
Are you worried about the ban?
What's that?
Are you worried about the ban?
No.
So like, how did you start? Like like everyone has to start somewhere. So what would you say was like, how did you get your following? How did you start getting leads? Like, what was your start on TikTok?
Again, so what I would do is I would watch a bunch of content. So I just did one recently, and in less than a week it got about 1 million views. And basically it's finding videos. Well, this is just one strategy. It's just finding videos that are really trending. The trend is your friend, but stay in your own lane. So find videos that are really trending, and use a portion of that, but then put your own spin on it. Basically using it to grab the attention, but then you transition and talk about what your niche or what your industry is. So you kind of want to combine, leverage someone else's trend, the trending topic or whatever, and then at the end you put your own plug into it, like, hey, this happened, but if you do it so and so and so, like, you'll get these results instead. So kind of following those trends and then adding your own 2 cents to it, making it a little bit more unique, and then people gravitate towards you. So there's different types of content, right? Things like that. If you want to start building a following, you got to find all those trends and then, put your spin on it. And so that way you can build a following, and then you have, other type of content where you're nurturing the people who are following you. Then once they go to your platform, then they can see other type of content that you really want them to see, So it's kind of like a hook to get them into your ecosystem, and then you can have other videos to really explain what you do.
So you're basically saying like it's important to have that initial funnel, that first awareness video, and then like how do you funnel it to like the things that you offer?
Yeah, so you're all I call it the straight line effect, right? So like if you're doing sales, right, you're trying to sell someone, and then they start talking about something else, you're gonna lose the sale. So you gotta be like, yo, come back up here, stay in this line, right? So when you're following a trend, it's kind of like it's like really off topic to what you want, but that's why I said at the end you got to direct them back, keep directing them back to the main line, the main cause, the main goal. And so that's what you always want to try to do for every video. It's like, if you go left, you want to bring them back to the middle, right? If you go right, bring them back to the middle. So always keep that in mind. It's like if you do too much variety and you don't tell people to come back to home base, they're going to get lost in the sauce. you know. So the most important thing is just always remember to bring people back to the core goal.
Man, that's phenomenal. That's good. You got me lost. Bree, so since you're connecting creators with job opportunities, right? So what would you say on like social media? Like how do you? It's like the chicken or the egg. Like how do you get the people?
Yeah, it's a marketplace.
Yeah. So like how do you do that?
Yeah, this was great for me because it all started with me complaining. Because I started with my own problem being a DJ, and I would go online and be like, am I the only person who's having a problem with finding opportunities? Now, I've moved from so many different states. Like, I grew up in Delaware, then I lived in Philly, then I moved to Miami, now I live in Houston. So what's the common problem? We're always scared to start over, right? So I was documenting that, like, okay, here I am yet again, decided to get a new lease and move somewhere else. And I have to start over. So if I document that and I'm showing other people, this is what it looks like for me to start all over, and this is what I'm doing, other people already trust me, and that is solving one side of the marketplace, which is creators. They trust me, and they were like, okay, how do you go get a new gig? It doesn't matter if you're a photographer, a DJ, a videographer. Sometimes it's all of the same thing, like, reaching out to clients, reaching out to venues, like developing relationships. It's the same script sometimes. But when I started showing, I'm also going to create a platform for this, because if so many people have a problem with this, then we need to solve it in a platform, right? And then on the other side, as someone who has had events, I do struggle with going online and looking for the perfect photographer and then trying to figure out their budget and how much they charge and what their portfolio is and blah, blah. Who the hell wants to do that all day? So that's where I solve that problem. For me, it's finding the right event community to see, hey, is this helping you? Because if it's helping one person, then refer me somebody else and I'll pay you for it. So you can also start a referral program. It adds up, because for our platform, considering that we make money from subscriptions and from also the transaction fees, then they can get a percentage of each transaction fee. And then that comes into the next problem was, okay, now we're getting people opportunities. They're quitting their jobs. They don't have health insurance. So that was my next thing was, okay, well, what partnership now can I find to solve this problem? Because again, you're asking your community, what problem do you guys have and how can I solve it? Okay, health insurance is a lot of money for creatives. I'm paying $200 a month. $200 a month? Now, this T-Mobile bill, I don't even pay more than $10 a month for my health insurance now, because there's so many unsubsidized programs that help creators, and we just didn't know. So I formed a partnership with HealthBird. They pay us to get creators health insurance, and half of them only pay $13 a month. But people didn't know that, right? Because
Sign me up.
I got you with the link later. But yeah, this is exactly how it starts. You're in front of your audience, you're complaining, which I love doing anyways, and then you find a solution for people who have the same problem. And you take it online too. That's just how I do it.
That's super good. So now I want each of you to kind of break down, like, how do you track what's working from, so now we're like building that community, we're building that trust, we're getting people to come into our ecosystem, but how do you track what's working and how do you like move forward and see, like, okay, let's do this. So what would you say on that?
When it comes to, my platform, whether it be people reaching out to me, events, I have tracking links. Even within a specific event, I'll have a tracking link per page, per person that's helping me out with it. When it comes to analytics, obviously you can see where the followers are coming at. A lot of times when I'm doing an event marketing campaign, I can actually see the RSVPs as they come in. Oh, this video came in, well, I just had like 10 RSVPs come in next day. This video came out, nothing happened that day. Of course, ticket sales, revenue. I always think that when it comes to content, the best way to figure out if it's working is either event sales or software purchases. Everything else in between makes it like a middle ground. But if somebody is spending money online for a digital product or software purchase or physically arriving to an event, then I know it's working.
I would say, is it? Okay. I would say that you need to have something called KPIs. So does everybody know what that is? Key performance indicators. You have to know what's successful for your business. So for me, it's downloads, it's converting to subscriptions, it's booking transactions. But then you have to figure out what funnel leads into that. So like for us, it's having events and having people come. But in order to come to the event, you have to download the app. That's the first thing. And then I'll track that conversion. Then I also have content. So when people see my content and they come and click the link and they download the app, that's another conversion. And then even having, being in spaces like this where I'm in front of an audience that relates, connecting with everybody, getting them to download the app, and I just see what works the best. Like, you don't have to struggle in this game. Whatever works, pour more into that. Like, see what fills your business's cup. The same way you see what fills your cup. I see events fill my cup. My business flourishes off of events. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take my behind to every event and talk and yap about the platform, because that's my strongest way that's given me successful KPIs. But when things don't work, sometimes it's not that it never works, it's just not working right now too sometimes. Like, I personally, when I make content, I'm not the biggest content creator. Like, I just but I need to kind of see what the season is. Maybe I want to make it a holiday theme. Like, maybe I want to give a discount because it was Black Friday. Like, you kind of have to see what works in that season, just like anything else, just like fashion. You're not going to sell bikinis in the winter unless you're in Miami. But here, it's not going to work in that season, right? So you also just need to see that too. And that also helps with having a team. Hire interns. You can literally get an intern for $600 for months, and people don't know, on acadium.com. See have them try different things and see what works with them too. You don't have to do it alone. You can be independent, but you don't have to do things alone. So just remember that.
I think for me, 3 things that I always do is I call it MVP, shotgun, sniper. So MVP stands for minimum viable product, right? You want to put in the minimum amount of work and cost, and if you can generate something off of that, then you might be onto something, right? You don't want to put in all the bells and whistles and everything up front, and then if it flops, you just lost all your money, right? So you want to put in the minimum viable product, right? The minimum amount possible to test it out. You got to test the waters. Shotgun, if you know how the shotgun works, you have your shell with a bunch of small, pebbles in there, whatever you want to call it, and it shoots out, right? It sprays out. So a shotgun is like testing a lot of different ideas in that niche. So for example, I did 6 figures in 60 days reselling books on Amazon. But I wouldn't have been able to find out if I didn't do the shotgun method. So I tried online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, private labeling, wholesaling, selling books. I tried a lot of different variety within Amazon selling. And the one that really stuck out like a sore thumb was reselling books. I bought a book for $2 at the Goodwill, sold it for $600 on Amazon. And
What was this? We're not going right past that. Right. From Dr. Sabi's old collection.
It was like an automobile collection book.
Oh, wow.
$2, and I scanned the barcode, and people were selling it for like $1,200. So I was like, I'll sell it for $600.
Wow.
See if it works. I'm investing $2.
We're going to Goodwill after
Right?
this.
If I post it for $600, if it doesn't work, I wasted $2. If it does work, I might be onto something. Right? So that's the shotgun method. It's like you got to put in the minimum amount possible in a wide array, and then something's going to stand out, right? But if you put all your money in one basket, and if it fails, then you're done. Like, you're out of the game, right? And so once you do find something that stands out, then that's where the sniper comes in. Then you just keep targeting that one spot over and over and over, and just scale it up.
I need that ISBN.
Where you going?
That seems like it's working.
Okay, that was awesome. So, so we're gonna wrap it up, but I do want to leave space for questions. So if you have any questions for our panelists, I'd love to.
I'll ask one. So the United States government has asked ByteDance to divest the Chinese Communist People's Party from TikTok in order to remain on U.S. soil. There are a lot of issues with the dissemination of sensitive information to the Chinese government, and the DOJ has issued an instruction to Apple and Android to remove the app by January 19th or face stiff penalties. If the Chinese government refuses to divest themselves from TikTok's parent company, what what are you doing to transfer yourself maybe to Instagram or to another platform in which you can still generate your same, your same sort of influence, as you will?
Yeah, so one thing that I regret doing, if I could start all over, is I wish I would have reposted my content on all the platforms from day one. Initially I just focused on TikTok, but if I would have just repost the same content on the other platforms, then I could have grown all the other platforms as well. So it's about diversifying, right? So, because you make one video, all you got to do is just repost it on all the other platforms. So might as well grow it all at the same time. That way, if one shuts down, you got 3 other ones to go, right? So that's one thing that I definitely regret. The other one is anticipate and adapt, right? So if you see things go in a certain direction, you got to anticipate that and figure out how to adapt, right, to pivot. So for me, I know that like going live on TikTok is not going to last forever, right? Or maybe TikTok isn't going to last forever. So I have to figure out other ways to bring in traffic. So right now, me personally, because I built, just my opinion, just because I built a small following, people kind of recognize me online. So now if I do a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, they recognize my face a little bit more. So then, and because I already created a bunch of content, now if they don't want to schedule a consultation, if they want to get to know more of who I am, they want to do their due diligence, they're going to go to my social media platforms, and then they can see the whole host of my information and content. So that's what I'm doing now. Is I'm doing Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok ads, testing that out. That way, yeah, if TikTok fails, then I can do ads, and once I optimize it, then I can scale my business even faster. And then the other one is YouTube is definitely the platform you want to be on. YouTube has the highest conversion rates, the biggest spenders on YouTube, and then TikTok has the lowest, right? So my focus is going to be on YouTube right now.
Thanks.
That's good. Is there any other questions?
If what we're trying to not really sell, but what we're trying to have our platform of is just like the ideas, like mine is like classism, because that's what I studied in my master's degree, and that my life experience has kind of led me to that. So how do you take an idea and try to like have a business model for that?
What problem are you exactly trying to solve?
The divide between different groups that are within the same class.
Okay. That's a perfect time to start a community. You can start with conversations, and see how people feel about it. And I guess I probably have to one-on-one see more what you're trying to solve in that space. But just with that alone, we all had to start with an idea at some point, and just like I told you, I was complaining. And and that got me to building my following and then building what was then a wait list. So you could be building a wait list by blogging, maybe create a Substack nowadays, or Beehive, that's a newsletter nowadays. You can literally share your ideas and have people join a wait list, and then eventually you can even monetize the newsletter, because with that, it sounds like you're spreading a lot of information, and the best way to source information in a private way nowadays is newsletters. And I know people are making millions from newsletters nowadays just because they're sharing information, deeper information. And because you already studied it, girl, you better put that money to that degree. And okay.
I would even say too, also start doing polls to your following and everything. Start segmenting and figure out who everybody is. Because when you start, because you talk about classism, but it might be a very specific person that likes classism, so that allows you to talk to them a lot more specifically, and then you can negotiate that with brands. It's like, 80% of them, suburban white women, they live in Katy.
And you can monetize on Kit right now. The newsletter she was talking about, you sign up for Kit, the monetization is immediate on the newsletter. So,
Yep, ConvertKit's another good one.
Yep.
I guess they're just called Kit now. Look it down.
KIT?
KIT. Yeah.
Yep.
I was gonna ask if any of you guys have ever had to pivot your actual content, right? Like, let's say I know you talked about moving, but
Every day.
one day you're doing the landscaping or something.
Yeah, I own real estate too. So like at some point I had to kind of stop talking about real estate, just because that's not, my bread and butter is not selling classes or anything with it. Like I just was kind of telling other people, hey, this is another way I generate wealth. But because I wanted to get more people to download the platform, I actually did stop talking about real estate because that's not where I'm getting my bread and butter from online. I'm getting my bread and butter offline with that, like with wholesaling and flipping and renting out my properties. So that's a great point because I started as a DJ, then I ended up getting in my tech career, then I ended up buying properties. So there's always going to be a shift in your content because there's a shift in your life. And for me, you don't have to personally share everything. Share what you want to share and what you're trying to actually solve. I wasn't trying to solve a real estate crisis at the time. I was trying to solve an issue in the creator economy. So my content had to solely be about that, and everything else I have in my life, relationships, real estate, promotions, I stopped talking about it because also it wasn't anybody else's business.
So when I was in Miami, I was primarily focused on private equity and kind of like fintech technology. Super boring stuff, but it had a high conversion rate with a high customer value rate. And then I started realizing that the hospitality industry didn't have like an ESPN network for it. So I completely started a whole new brand because bartenders, bar owners are not going to care about this private equity stuff. And so with that, going into starting this new brand with the strategy in place, it took off super fast. And so I was able to just hit the platform, no call to actions for like a couple months, just putting out that brand awareness content. And then from there, that's when I started doing polls, segmenting the audience. And so I'm like, okay, they're this old. This is where they stay. Because Southern bartenders are different than Chicago bartenders. And so even with the terminology I was using.
What would you say is the best way for an author to sell books via social media?
So I actually do have an ebook, and the best way I sold it, same thing too, building a community. At the time, my ebook was about starting a business. Then my second ebook was about transitioning into tech, which was during COVID. So that's when everybody was like, oh, I'm going to get into tech. So I was already in front of that audience. But this goes back to what he was saying, choosing the right social media platform. People were always talking about Black Tech Twitter on Twitter. So I went on Twitter and was talking about the book I was writing when it was in the idea phase. So let's go back to ideas. I built the wait list. I also asked people, because sometimes you need to ask, what do you need? Like, just because we think that, we have the best idea in the world doesn't mean it's the best idea in the world. So I would say also asking what they're looking for in this book. What kind of book is this?
One is a book, Prison Wives Prayers.
Okay.
The other book is Prison Marriage Boot Camp workbooks for him and her.
Okay. And there is actually a very strong community in that. Yeah, okay. Okay, graphic design. Yeah.
Podcasts.
Yeah, I was just about to say
Podcasts. Go to
podcasting.
churches.
Yeah. There's definitely a need for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. Pass
So I'll
this
take one right
around.
now.
Pass this around. I have some locked up people too. So that we all know somebody who has been put away, whether right or wrong. So that's a great, niche, right? So podcasts, getting on podcasts that talk about that is the perfect way to convert people into your waitlist. But you need to have a website. Y'all, if y'all have a website, don't play with me. Go get that website and start getting leads. And just like she said, you can just go on Kit and you can create a landing page. It doesn't have to be the most extravagant thing, but you want to don't miss out on collecting those emails because there's money in emails. So yes, I would say find where your audience is. That could be in the podcasting world. That can be on YouTube. That can be reaching out to influencers who went through this as well. Referrals, once you really establish your audience and the awareness of the book, reach out to influencers and see if you could work out a deal with them. So where every book that they sell, they get a referral. People think that, people don't do that. Yes, they do.
So because my issue is reaching out to influencers within the same, it's hard. So
Why?
do I need
What's hard about it?
Within the same niche?
They don't.
There's a billion people in this world. Just remember that.
Like for example, prison wives. It's hard to collaborate with other prison wives. So I'm saying, do I need to just step outside of collaborating with them because it's like.
So there's just not that many are out there that are influenced. Oh, they're out there. Okay.
A lot of them are out
They're
there.
out there.
Yeah.
But
There's Facebook groups
honestly,
too.
I think they look at it as I have all of it.
Yeah.
But I think they look at it as
Competition.
yes, competition.
Really?
I think for me, I think your biggest power is your story,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
I mean, there's a reason why you wrote the book. So
Right.
you don't have to, go anything like specific things off your book, but you tell them the story, like
That's
why
right.
you made this book, like
That's right.
why was it so important to make this book, and you're gonna get people to follow you for that reason. I mean, there's got to be a reason why you made that book. So
It's a workbook too, man.
You
It's
have,
two.
you have to,
One ship's inside the prison.
and there's a reason why you did 2 books, right?
Right.
Like,
And if that community is rejecting you, then start your own.
That's
Like
it.
for real. Like start your own. Go to the cities that have the highest population and not highest population, but this issue. Like Chicago has this issue, Philly has this issue, New York has this issue, LA has this issue. So going back to the podcasting space, speak about your story online. Get that wait list, then check the demographics on that wait list, and start having events. It could be at, like I said, the coffee shops and everything.
Okay.
We can talk after
Yeah,
this
we have to
because I definitely.
I will say everybody's in here issues will 10x when you start doing events. It's
Yes.
going into that era right
Yes.
now. Like spaces like this are going to start popping up all over the city, and they're going to need people like you guys, people who are creating and on the forefront of building communities, because people need connection again.
Yeah.
They do. They do. And especially when it's relatable. Like, because that's the whole point of community is to strengthen one another, not bring each other down. So I feel like when you're also embodying that and showing like, what this is to help bring us up and educate each other. And, I definitely have somebody for you. I have somebody who just got clemency. So that's another thing. There's a whole clemency community. Like, so, yeah.
Question: do you have a podcast?
No, I don't have podcasts. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. My family, we've advocated. We've been to DC, spoken on behalf. My children spoke on behalf of the First Step Act. Husband came home 2 weeks on the first. So I've been doing this stuff and I'm putting it out there. But I guess I don't know.
I will
I'm
say,
missing something.
book readers on YouTube though. People on TikTok, they don't read books. That's much because they're more likely to go from YouTube to an Audible book to like actual physical copy.
Okay. I have a YouTube, so I need to step that up. Okay.
Yeah, for sure, for
'Cause
sure.
you can have 100 subscribers on YouTube and get work in.
For sure, create a podcast. Like here, like we film, edit, record. So literally, all you have to do is show up. But then start inviting other people that are in the space to come to your podcast. Now you're still in their audience, and you're still getting the story across, and you're, like cross promoting. So,
Okay.
so that's something.
That's
I
a
would
strong word,
recommend.
still. Still's a strong word.
I mean,
I really
cross
think the podcast
collaborate.
would take
I'm the
off.
cross collaborator.
Might
I'm
as
just
well
calling
a
it.
podcast
Yeah.
tour then ends up being a book tour too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was great. It was amazing. If you don't mind, you can say your like closing remarks. You have an event coming up, so tell people about your event, and then
Wednesday, I have an event called Small Talk, kind of based on cross-industry collaboration, speed business networking, but it's behind the Connect
it's
for
you.
it. Yes, me. I'm sorry, I'm bothering you with ads, but it's Connect for tournament. Something very easy for everybody to get in the mix, and we'll be talking about 2025 visions. Because I feel like right now people aren't talking about what they want to do next year, and I've already asked a couple people, and they just stood there frozen. So I think it's a problem. So on Wednesday we're gonna fix it.
I would just remind y'all to talk to your existing community. Like, please don't be in analysis paralysis. I was in that for 2 years before I started GEM. And if you don't execute your idea, somebody else will. And then you're going to be mad. So please, like, talk to your community, see what problems they're going through, especially when you know that you're trying to solve them. So that way, when you do create your MVP, you're creating your MVP based off of what problem really needs to be solved. I started my app with $800. And people forget, like, oh, like you need like $10,000. No, you don't, because I didn't do that. So remember that. And it doesn't have to be an app. It could be the podcast. It could be a YouTube channel. It could be the email newsletter. It could be your website. Like, just start somewhere and make sure that you're solving a real problem and go and listening to your future customers, because you guys all want to be listened to, right? So make sure your future customers are heard too. And don't be scared for feedback. People are so scared of feedback, and that's the honest thing that's going to make you rich is the feedback. So just lean into that, even if you're scared.
I think for me, it's just if you're starting out, your story is your biggest power, because that's what makes you unique. Just an example, I'm in the credit repair, right? So there's other credit repair owners that filed for bankruptcy, and then now, they have an amazing credit score, they have an amazing house. So that's something that I can't compete with. There's someone else that I know who was a drug addict, right? He was ex-drug addict, and he saved his life by changing his credit, you know. And so like he's gonna like attract people that are in that similar situation, and I can't compete with that, right? So I'm gonna tell my story, and people are gonna come to me that relate to me and my story, and people are gonna go to someone else. Like this, you know, there's 300 million people in this in this country. Like there's just no way I can have 300 million people do, you know, credit repair on me. Like I'm only going to be able to help people that resonate with me and that trust me. And there's plenty of money in the pool for everyone. So.
Oh man, that's awesome. How was that? All right, thank you. And now we're gonna we have like a 5-10 minute break. So if you want some water, some juice,